Well, we're here with Matthew Lloyd for the first of the 2021 season previews, and we'll start off with Essendon. Lloyd, what did you make of their trade period last year?
I don't think the ins fully replace the outs, to be honest. I think when you lose a player of the quality of Joe Danaher, I know he hasn't played a lot of football, but we're already seeing in the pre-season for the Brisbane Lions what he's fully capable of. So, yeah, out Danaher, Fantasia and Sard, and in came Jai Caldwell, Nick Hind and Peter Wright. So I think that all three outs are match winners, and we've seen that at AFL level in Danaher, Fantasia and Sard. But Jai Caldwell, how good he is, time will tell. At a big Melbourne club. Nick Hind, I actually have watched him in the pre-season. I think he's could be the big bonus of all of them. We've seen him as a forward at St Kilda. Well, he's playing half-back flank for the Bombers, and he's like a Sard replacement with his ping-off half-back. And Peter Wright, I think that's where the pressure sits because he hasn't been quite competitive enough at AFL level. And I think he's got to get a bit more aggressive to be that replacement for a Danaher in that forward line.
So we'll start up forward. Danaher and McKernan out, who's at St Kilda now. Is Wright a good enough replacement to replace those two?
I think he just needs to compete really and bring the ball to ground for the likes of Devon Smith and Tip and Woody and those type of players in the forward line. Where they've really been hurt, they planned for Michael Hurley to be the centre half forward this year and Cale Hooker to be centre half back, but through that hip infection of Michael Hurley, they've now had to throw Cale Hooker back in the forward line, and unfortunately, Cale Hooker should be in defence. At his stage of his career, Peter Wright shouldn't be the number one forward, but there's a boy by the name of Harrison Jones, and I think that he looks really, really good. He's probably 12 months away from playing every game, but I think he looks like he can be the forward they can build themselves around in 12 months' time, and you'll see plenty of him this year. So he's the one I'm most excited about.
So with Hurley's season in doubt and Hooker, likely to go forward, what does their backline look like this year?
Well, James Stewart now has the job as the number one key defender at the Bombers. So, Jordan Ridley, the best and fairest winner, will be down there. They're under pressure at both ends of the ground on that. It's interesting because you've got Peter Wright and Hooker trying to play forward when probably not ideal for them to be the number one. You've got James Stewart learning a new craft as a key defender, which we saw late last year. And then you've got Sam Draper in the ruck, who's just a baby really in ruck terms, coming up against the likes of Gawn and Grundy and Goldstein week after week. So it probably says a lot about where the Bombers are at. They're really restarting again, unfortunately. So, they're still a fair way off probably those top-end teams.
What about through the middle of the ground? They've got plenty of players, but probably in recent years they haven't quite stood up to the expectations many have had.
Yeah, I think that their two best players, in my opinion, are McGrath and Merritt, so obviously through the midfield. Dyson Heppel, we won't be seeing him in the early rounds in the midfield. He's going back to the half-back flank, so we're going to see a lot of positional changes throughout this year. Hind on the half-back flank, you're going to see Dyson Heppel on the half-back flank. So the issue for Essendon is they've got a lot of talent in there with Shield and McGrath and Merritt and these types, but they're not that big. So I think they may be monstered at times by bigger sized midfielders like the Bontempellis and Paddy Cripps types of players. So Kyle Langford becomes really important. Darcy Parish becomes important, that new wave of midfielders at Essendon.
And just quickly on Ben Rutten, it's his first season officially in charge. Do you think we'll see anything different from what we saw last year with John Worsfold?
I think they'll move the ball faster than what they did last year. I think under Ben Rutten it was a bit too slow at times, and now watching them throughout the pre-season period, there's a bit more explosiveness with that ball in hand. As I said, it's just about can they kick goals. Jake Stringer's had a few hiccups. He becomes important along with Tip and Woody and the like. So, I think they'll move the ball quicker under Rutten, and let's hope he can make a good fist of it in his first year.
All right, on to the predictions now. Who have you got as your big improver?
My big improver is those couple of guys I've already mentioned. I think Jones in the forward line. I think people are going to be very, very excited about him. And also Nick Hind. It was a pleasant surprise for me to watch him and what he can produce off a half-back flank, which I've never seen him play in that role before.
What about who's under pressure this year for Essendon?
I think it is Peter Wright. I think Peter has been in the system a long time, and he's just never, Ben King went past him, Sam Day went past him, and now he's going to get plenty of opportunities. And can he, it's not about kicking 50, but can he be that aggressive forward to bring the smalls into it that they're looking for?
They finished 13th last year, 6 wins, 11 losses. Where do you see them finishing this year?
I see them finishing around the same mark this year. I think that around that 12th, 13th mark is where I expect the Bombers to finish in 2021.